very pleased to be here today at the Cahoon Museum of American Art for a special tour through a really amazing career retrospective of Ralph Cahoon's life in art. And joining us today is the woman who curated the whole show, Cindy Nickerson. Thank you, Cindy, for being with us today.
Oh, my pleasure.
Now, you joined us on Barnstable this morning a little while back to talk in detail about this beautiful series of artwork, but let's talk a little bit more focused about it now. Tell us a little bit about what people can see, generally speaking, when they come to the museum and check out the show.
Well, we have about 50 works in 5 galleries, and they span from the time Ralph was a furniture decorator up until just right before his death in 1982. And so I'm really trying to show both a history of his life to some extent, but one thing that hasn't been done before is really showing a progression of his style and subject matter over time, and that's what we're really trying to do here.
And we'll take a look through that today. So let's take a look through just a few of the works, because of course we don't want to give too much away for our viewers out there, but just to give people a taste of the stylistic journey that you sort of created by the way that you've hung this show. Let's take a look at some of the pieces that you'll see at this retrospective right now. Okay, so we begin our journey now at the Cahoon Museum, and we really haven't moved all that much. We're in the first room of the exhibition. And Cindy, what are we looking at now?
Well, we have 4 works over here that I unofficially like to call Ralph Cahoon in training because all 4 of the pieces have trains in them.
Sure.
And the earliest is that blanket chest over there, which has a scene of a train chugging through the countryside on the front, something that a 19th century folk artist might have done. Mm-hmm. This one called Transportation and the snow scene were probably done around the same time, 1955, but I think maybe the snow scene was a little earlier. And you have a very similar train coming in from stage left, and you have children in the scene, but it's a snow scene. He's put a clipper ship in the background. He's shown the water because he wants to make it into a Cape Cod scene. Mm-hmm. So you have the casual presence of the clipper ship in the background. But when he painted this piece called Transportation, he made a very deliberate attempt to put various forms of 19th century transportation in the painting. Mm-hmm. There's the train coming in, and it's very similar to the one in the blanket chest. But equal importance are the gentleman and the lady and the horse and buggy in the foreground.
Sure.
And then back by the shore, the people, I think, about to launch a hot air balloon. The hot air balloon is not only beginning to be launched in the painting, it's beginning to be launched in his work as well. And in this Transportation, it has the same title, but in 1960 it's taken off.
Well, we've moved on a little bit through the exhibition, and so too we've moved on in Ralph Cahoon's career a little bit. Cindy, tell us a little bit about where we are now.
Sure. This painting over here, Cape Cod Sea Captains, was painted probably the late 50s, and as the Cahoons often did with their furniture and in their early career, he went back to a 19th century source, which we're showing on the wall text there. Mm-hmm. And this is an old photograph of 3 gents in top hats. 2 of them are Crosby captains. And they're just sitting in a row with their hands in different positions. And when you see the picture, you immediately know it's something special. And Ralph thought so too, and he painted this picture. But he put them on a piece of decorated furniture, such as he and Martha might have painted.
Sure.
But their hands are in the same position. He's added a parrot to show they've been to exotic places and a couple of spyglasses. The mermaids are in the background in this painting, but they are in the painting. In around 1971, he painted Sam Cooke's Fish Company, and you can see the same 3 gents sitting on the bench, but it's a little longer this time to accommodate a mermaid,
right, of course,
who's sitting there with her daughter. And
it looks like a ferry ticket as well.
Yes, and the train is coming in just as it has been from the beginning, from stage left.
Yes.
But you can tell it's a much more sophisticated painting with things overlapping more. When you compare the 3 gentlemen sitting there. Ralph couldn't see their legs in the photograph, and in the first one, he's got their legs crossed, and it's a little awkward looking. Here they're just sitting there, they have more weight, it's more natural. He's coming into his own as an artist, and this is an example of his mature work.
We're into the third room now at the Ralph Cahoon Career Retrospective. And Cindy, we're looking at a lot of paintings in this particular room that focus mostly on the balloons. And there's a beautiful one right behind us. So let's step out of the frame a bit here, and we'll hear your narrative here.
Okay, this is one of the jewels of the exhibition. It's called Balloons Over Boston, painted around 1965. And we saw the balloons that were presented as just historical objects, interesting. But here, Ralph has made them the main subject of the painting, even more important than the mermaid and sailor that are riding in one of them. Despite all the whimsy of the balloons, there's a kind of an antique look to the whole painting. He's probably looked at a topographical painting of Boston at the bottom, but he's lifted up to us to the perspective of the balloons, which are just outrageous and marvelous. This was based on an antique print that Ralph had seen where the eagles are providing the directional ability to the balloon. Here he's taken two balloons and this huge eagle gondola that's large enough to carry smokestacks like it was a steamship or something. And I just think that this bird takes on a life of its own. You almost believe it's alive and not just part of a balloon.
So to see these next couple of paintings we're talking about, all you have to do is literally turn your head from the last few paintings that we were just discussing. Cindy, what's important about these two?
These two were both painted for Josiah K. Lilly III, who was the founder of Heritage Plantation, now Heritage Museums and Gardens.
Sure.
He was Ralph's most important collector. He and his wife, former wife Josephine, bought over 50 of his paintings. Wow. And 9 by Martha over the course of their career. They loved their work. And often at Christmas time, Josephine would commission a painting to give to her husband as a Christmas present. As you know, they have a wonderful antique car collection at Heritage, and this features one of the cars in that collection.
We take a look at the adjacent wall here, and we see a Christmas scene with a man, a mermaid, and toys and smaller mermaids strewn everywhere.
It was perfect for a Christmas present, but the ploy here was Lilly also had a collection of antique American toys that in 1976 actually went to Spain on an exhibition as part of the bicentennial. But it's Christmas morning, and the little mer children are opening all of these toys while the mom and dad have breakfast in the background. But one other thing about the painting is that the two figures at the table are a takeoff on a 19th century folk artist, Joseph H. Davis, who was known for painting these pictures of husbands and wives looking at each other from the opposite end of the table.
I see.
So any folk art collector would immediately recognize what he was doing there.
For much more information about the Cahoon Museum of American Art, check out the website cahoonmuseum.org. Well, that's all for now. Thanks again to the Cahoon Museum for having us. I'm Nick Cortez, and we'll see you next time on Barnstable Today.